Call to order the meeting of the Select Board of February 10th. Need a motion to go into executive session pursuant to Mass General Law, Chapter 30A, Section 21A3, to discuss strategy with respect to collective bargaining if an open meeting may have a detrimental effect on bargaining position of the body, public body, and the chair so declares, for the Police Brotherhood Union, the Dartmouth Town Employee Association, and Bliss Corner. Also to go under executive session of the Mass General Law, Chapter 30A, Section 21A2, to conduct strategy sessions for preparations for negotiations with non-union personnel or to conduct collective bargaining sessions or contract negotiations with non-union personnel for the Veteran Service Officer and the Town Administrator. Do I have a motion?
So moved.
Motion made by Mr. Mickelson, seconded by
Mrs. Brooks.
Mrs. Brooks. On the motion, any questions? Roll call vote. Mr. Tattlebaum.
Yes.
Mr. Mickelson.
Yes.
Mr. O'Neill.
Yes.
Mrs. Brooks.
Yes.
Chair votes in favor. We'll be returning as closely to 6:30 as possible. Thank you. Call to order the Select Board meeting, reconvene the Select Board meeting of February 10th. Please rise as we salute the flag. Please remain standing thereafter for a moment of silence. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Please remain standing as we offer a moment of silence for our military personnel, both here and abroad, and both past and present. Thank you. Please be seated. All right. Full house. We have, sorry for the delay. We're just cleaning up on executive session. 6:30, or now it's 6:45. We have a hearing. One that I've been looking forward to, that's for sure. We have an application received from Novo Mundo Restaurant, doing a business as Novo Mundo Restaurant located at 24 Cove Road, Dartmouth, for a transfer of a year-round all-alcoholic beverage license under the provisions of Mass General Law, Chapter 138. I'm going to open up the hearing. Hi, guys.
Hello.
Good evening.
Welcome to Dartmouth.
Thank you.
About time. Best damn chicken in the city of New Bedford. Now's going to be the best damn chicken in the town of Dartmouth.
It is.
All right. So, tell us.
Just very briefly, my name is Tim Walsh. I'm an attorney in New Bedford, and what is a loss for my community is a great gain for your community here in Dartmouth. I'm here with Carla and Jonathan Amaral, longtime owners of Churrascario Novo Mundo in New Bedford. I probably didn't say that totally correctly, but I was close.
You were close.
I was close. And we're here to answer any questions that you have. We really look forward to coming into town. It's going to be great for their business, and I think it'll be great for the town. So if
I
you have any
think for some of the, I guess the questions that would be on most people's mind is timeline. What are you looking for? Is opening, or at least,
So we're looking towards the end of summertime.
I just step up. Okay, there you go.
We're looking towards the end of summertime, opening up. That just goes with how quick we could build with licenses and permits and things like that.
All right, good. All right, so board members have any questions?
I do, yeah. Thank you. Appreciate it. I've had millions of phone calls excited about tonight. Millions, everybody, kiddingly.
A lot of hungry
including all my family. And
Every
if
resident in
you don't
town
get this
called 50
permit,
times, yeah.
I can't go home tonight.
Thank you. I appreciate
Your
it.
food is outstanding. Your business ethics are magnificent. Everything you do and everything you've done in your previous business was great. You're going to make it even greater in this place.
Thank you
And
so
I wish you
much.
all the luck in the world.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Anyone else? All right, so as this is a hearing, is there anybody in the audience who'd like to be heard in favor of this? All right. Unfortunately, I have to ask this side, which I'm sure there isn't anybody in the audience. Is there anybody in the audience who is against this? There better not be. All right, we're going to close the hearing. Board, what's the pleasure?
Motion to approve.
Motion made by Mr. Mickelson, seconded by?
Second.
Mr. O'Neill, on the motion, any questions? All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, none unanimous. All right, good luck.
Thank you. I just want to say on behalf of my clients in my office, town was great to work with. The folks you had working on the admin side in town were really helpful. So we really appreciate that. We do a lot of these liquor licenses, and sometimes towns are really helpful. Sometimes they kind of just let you do it yourself. So I just want to say that. Town staff was awesome, and these guys really look forward to coming in and opening up shop in town. So thank you guys.
It's
very
great to
much.
hear, because generally,
We only hear the bad
how
stuff.
you feel about how the town is working is how, what hoops you have to go through.
That's it.
So
That's exactly
we
it.
appreciate it, and welcome.
Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Thank you.
All right, this is just to let you,
Was, too.
all right, applause, this is even better. We should keep these guys here all the time.
We should always have them.
All right. Just to let you know, this meeting is being recorded and available through DCTV under their YouTube channel. And of course, all votes are voiced because we're all here.
Mr.
All
Chairman,
right.
Mr. Chairman?
Yes.
I just was thinking, as a vegetarian, I probably should have recused myself on that vote.
Your loss.
Okay.
They have rice. They got good rice.
Okay, I'll go there for that.
Tata fish. So they're also good.
Cubes.
All right, so First item on the new business, we have the Dartmouth Youth Football League Junior Varsity Cheerleaders Recognition. So, we had, as the very first football commissioner for DYFL, when it was first introduced, one of the things that, of course, at the time, Pop Warner wanted to do is to make sure that our junior ladies in town also had the opportunity. We wanted the kids in the lower grades get the experience of football and cheer, so that as they work their way up and eventually to the high school, we just have a banging squad. And it worked, because the football team has gone to Foxborough for the Mass State Championships, and our cheerleaders have done, the high school cheerleaders have done a bang-up job. But now, all of a sudden, the pressure is on them because we have our junior varsity cheerleaders here who have won a championship. So now, when you guys get to the high school, you guys have to get your championship. So, with that, we do want to recognize, the squad, the coaches, and the DYFL. So, the Town of Dartmouth Select Board, the official citation, be it known that the Dartmouth Select Board hereby extends its congratulations and in recognition of achieving first place in the YCADA national competition in Orlando, Florida, which was also pretty nice because you get to go to Florida. And that be further known that the Dartmouth Select Board extends its best wishes for continued success. So what we're going to do is we're going to call you up one by time, and you're going to get your, you get to shake my hand, number one, which is sometimes a good thing, and you're going to get a citation. So.
And then
Nova Sylvia.
when you're done, would you just stand in front of that Dartmouth thing, and then I'll get a picture of the whole squad,
Nova Sylvia.
all the way down.
Okay. We can do it this way, that's great.
Congratulations.
Congratulations, Olga, here you go. Congrats. And if I mispronounce your name, I'm sorry. Olivia Sorensen.
Great job.
Sophia Perry. Thank you. Madeline Paveo.
Congratulations.
Addison Pacheco.
No, no.
Good job.
Congratulations. Congrats. Lillian Nicholson.
Congratulations.
Congratulations. Lydia Miranda. Congratulations. Camilla Legue. Said that right?
Congratulations.
Is Reagan here? Okay, we'll give this to the coaches. So the, Reagan, Delgerta? Degerta? Okay. I pronounce you. Who's left? Oh, Taylor, you're here. Taylor Boparlin. Just to know, I know Taylor from my granddaughter's softball team, so.
Oh, you gotta give her a
Way to go,
little razz.
Taylor can be one of the bubbliest girls you ever know, that's for sure. Coaches, Christian Boparlin. Coach Katie Nicholson. And Coach Gina Sylvia.
Congratulations. Good job, thank you.
Too fast.
Congratulations.
Sheena, stick here for a minute, okay? And we also have a, here's Reagan's. And we also have one for the DYFL themselves, so, okay? Okay. Congratulations to the cheerleaders, the coaches, and the DYFL.
Oh, that's a nice picture.
Great picture.
Beautiful.
Woo-wee. Nice.
Are you ready?
All right.
Great job.
So ladies, you're more than welcome to stay, but I know it's a school night and you probably have homework, right? Okay, if you have a lot of homework, you can. If you decide to leave, you can. Believe me, we're not going to be
We're used to
upset.
speaking
You
to
know
no
homework
one in
takes
the
precedent.
audience.
Thank you again. Thank you, everybody.
All the smiling parents. Cute.
All right, next item on the agenda, we have a new common vic license application, the Bougie Bean LLC, located at 743 Dartmouth Street in Dartmouth. Come on up. So, introduce yourselves, and what is the Bougie Bean?
The Bougie Bean is a coffee shop, /cafe grab-and-go items. And I'm Stephanie Turgeon. This is my manager, Skyla DeRocha.
Hi, Skylar. Hi. All right, so, and you are? I
Stephanie-
know who you are, but
Stephanie
nobody else knows
Turgeon.
who you are. Stephanie Turgeon, okay. All right, so, Board, what's your pleasure?
So the only thing I want to mention is that there's an issue with parking, is that?
There's always been an issue. There's always
Ultimately-
been an issue with parking, whether it was Tamatod's,
Sam's Variety, any name.
the naughty,
Yeah.
Naughty dogs,
the Naughty Dog,
Naughty
thank you.
Dogs.
That's right.
two sisters.
Yeah.
Three Sisters,
The list goes
and
on.
even before that. I mean, it is a major street, and I think if there's any issues with parking, and the patrol in the area would take care of it. But I know for a fact that each owner at the time tried to assist, with appropriate signage and saying, don't park in front of somebody's driveway, and, I mean, people are gonna do what they wanna do, no matter what, and it's, I don't think it rises to the level where there has to be,
So the weekend
it's
you can
not
park
being
across the street at the school, so that's a
Yeah.
nice option.
well, when school's not open.
Yeah.
Weekend.
Weekend.
Even when it is, I know they don't use all those parking spots from experience. So I don't think that's a problem. I will just say that's the only concern that we have gotten. I don't know if anyone is here to speak on that, but we have gotten some concerned folks about how busy the road is, and then the parking coming out of driveways. So whatever you can do, even if it's a sign in your window that says, please respect the parking. I know people are typically in and out, although you do have seating, so people can sit and eat their lunch. So I think I wish you well with it. It's a nice little spot.
Can we clarify that you're open, but we're also trying to get a new license, so.
It's basically, yes, they are open, but you can't open it once you have applied for the license. So,
Can?
yes,
Okay.
you can. I mean, you can't, the thing is
there a
that
time
you
period?
have.
Is there a time period between the time they open and
Well,
they actually
the
get
license has to work through, the license application has to work through all the departments. So, it comes to our office first, and then from there, it goes out to the department heads. The Board of Health has to do their checkoffs, DPW has,
Well, do we have a parking issue? Well, let me rephrase that. It's always been a parking issue.
It's always been a parking issue.
Is this the time to try to discuss in some way to be helpful?
There has,
It doesn't, I mean, if there's a conflict, it might be in the morning, but then again, if there's a conflict, it might be in the morning, but then again, you know, the drop-off, Cushman isn't a full-fledged, and the drop-off, I believe, is a lot different now.
8:45.
Right, and the area is also different.
Everything's done in the back.
Right.
And there are no more school buses that go through the lot.
Right.
We have vans, but no buses.
And, you know, the chief has been made aware of the neighborhood issues, and, you know, if there's issues that, from the parking, you know, the officer will handle it. And they'll talk to the owners, they'll talk to the residents and see if there's, you know, I mean, you know, we can all cooperate. It's not, I mean, it's a unique situation where you have a business, you know, smack dab in the middle of residential neighborhoods, you know, but on a busy street. So it's not like it's in a, you know.
Well, like I said, it's been there for a while. I guess the only real issue is I think the Cushman parking is better than it was years back. So the only real issue seems to be about people parking in driveways and blocking traffic. And
Right.
I think, I hope that it just can work it out. If a problem comes up, we talk to somebody and we solve it rather than cause an issue, because you like everybody to be satisfied, the residents as well as having the business.
Yeah, I mean, unfortunately, a business owner can only do so much. You know, people are going to drive the way they're going to drive, period. You know, it's just like, you know, the mall owner. How many, is the manager of the mall going to go after people who decide to park in 2 spaces? You know, or, you know, that type of thing, so.
The safety officer, Officer Canario, did sign off on this.
Yeah.
Right.
And I think it's certainly worth, you know, through the chief, who happens to be here tonight, to say just, you know, whoever's patrolling Dartmouth Street, just take a look every now and then, and if they have to walk into the restaurant and remind people that they're not parking safely, it should clear up.
Being an old retail in that area, maybe just where you can post a sign that says, your customers, thank you for your business, but please don't block driveways when you park your car.
there hasn't been any issues.
I understand. And I'm not abdicating there's any trouble.
Yeah.
But being, I think, positive about it and making it a situation where you, the owner, and the customers can cooperate, I think would be great.
Mr. Chairman?
Nip it in the
I
bud.
don't want to create a
Yeah.
problem.
Just,
Given those comments, the fact that the building inspector, planning department, health inspector, police department, collector's office have all signed off, including the town clerk, and the owner's willingness to you know, police on their own, I'll make a motion to approve the application.
okay. Motion made by Mr. O'Neill. Is there a second?
I'll second.
Seconded by Mr. Tattlebaum on the motion. Any questions? All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? None. Unanimous. Good luck.
Thank you.
And I like the way you named the coffee after areas of the town.
Angela, Hicksville Road.
Hicksville,
That's the
Stone
matcha.
Ledge. Yep. Great way to incorporate town
Thank you.
to your product. Thank you.
And Sean was
luck.
there on Friday supporting, so.
Good luck.
Thank you.
Okay.
All right, next we have, let's see.
Conservation.
No, I wanted to buzz. I want to make sure I get my, okay, here we go. All right, next we have the conservation appointment, James Reardon.
Mr. Reardon.
Good evening.
So we have based upon the letter of interest credentials, and I guess based upon your interview with the Conservation Commission, they have forwarded your name to us. So just give us a very brief introduction and basically why.
Yeah, my name is James Reardon. I moved here from Waltham about a year ago in March with my wife and son. We live out in Round Hill. I've been coming here to Dartmouth since I was born. My dad grew up here over on Rockland Street, where my grandmother, Victoria Reardon, was the middle school swim teacher for a bunch. So when I moved down here, I kind of figured it's about time, you know, I have a family, so I wanted to give back to the community and be a part of the community sort of thing. And, you know, I was driving down Slocum, and I saw the join a board or committee sign. You know, I love being outside, and that's where I work at Sylvan Nursery over in Westport, so I spend all day outside every day. So I just want to, continue to see green spaces and make sure rules and regulations are followed correctly.
Just, any relation to Michael Reardon?
Yeah, that's my dad.
No. Okay, Mike and I were classmates.
Oh, nice.
Okay.
I was classmates with your aunt Barbara.
I'll be honest with you, I see it.
Yeah, that's what everyone says.
I see it, yeah.
I know.
Your father was a hell of an athlete.
That's what he tells me. I don't.
Oh, boy. You might want to rephrase that.
It was, no, I can tell you he was very good at basketball. Him and Bob Schoening, they were like two peas in a pod.
And a golfer.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
All right, boards,
Motion to appoint.
motion made by Mr. Mickelson, seconded by
Mrs. Brooks.
Mrs. Brooks. On the motion, any questions? All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, none, unanimous.
Thanks, James.
Thank you, Jim.
Thank you all. Have a great
Tell your
evening.
dad I said hello.
Thank you. I will.
All right.
Make sure I'll tell the whole gang. I know there were 6 of them.
Yeah.
Big fan.
You all have a good evening. Thank you.
Jimmy is Uncle Jimmy, too.
All right, yeah.
You're at all the.
That's for sure.
Jimmy, yeah.
all the golf.
All right, next we have the HERO Act discussion.
Yes, Mr. Chairman. So this past year, the state passed the HERO Act. Within that act, there are some reforms as well as some new exemption benefits that are a local option for towns to consider passing. Tonight, we have our Veteran Service Officer, Matt Brulette, here to go over his evaluation, or I guess summary of those changes, and open up for discussion with the board.
So I got some notes from the assessor's office, and from what I can tell, all of the funds that are abated for veteran status for service-connected disabilities, almost all of them are refunded, 100% by the state. The only one it looks like that isn't is the Clause 22, which is the $400 abatement for veterans between 10 and 90%, and that would be doubled to $800. Now, all of the other ones are, it doesn't really matter how much they are currently. One is $1,500. It would be doubled to $3,000. But that's all, by my calculations, that's all reimbursed by the state.
Mm-hmm.
So last year, $113,985.61 in fiscal year '24. $37,200 were given out under Clause 22, and of that, $20,925 were given back, and all of the other abatements were refunded 100%.
Great.
So I'm not, an accountant, but if you just were to double that, we would be on the hook for, it's 17 right now, so 34.
Mm-hmm.
We doubled everything.
All right.
Again, I'm not the accountant. I don't really know numbers, but.
Oh, but it's easy, it's 17 times 2, so I can figure that out. So is there any action we need to do on this, or just?
I have a question.
Go ahead.
In the enclosure, the Article 18.
Yes.
Article 19.
So this was just a recommendation given out by another VSO on language.
Okay.
So if it was to be put in the town warrant, that this is the type of language that I would want to
Okay.
imitate. Yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah.
so there is language that Matt provided. In your packet, there's also guidance that's been put out by the state, and they also include some draft language in there. This is something, should the board want to consider for our annual town meeting in June, we can work with town council to finalize that language and consider it for the warrant to add it on there.
I would strongly recommend that Dartmouth does this. I don't know of other communities that won't, but I think it would give a clear indication of where Dartmouth is if we were to pass it. And it would just coincide with the cost of living. There hasn't been an increase in over 15 years for these abatements, so.
Mr. Chairman?
Yes, Mr. O'Neill.
Matt, thanks very much for coming in. I haven't, well, we did see each other in the flag issue, I think was the last thing we were together on. I did not know much about the HERO Act up until the time of a couple of calls that I received, and hence the request to have you come in and kind of explain it to us. Do you have any idea, Matt, how many in each category we actually have in the
Well,
town
fiscal
right now?
year '24, we had 93 under Clause 22.
Yeah.
We had one under 22F, one under 22C, two under 22A, 12 under 22D, and 79 under 22E. A little out of order there, I apologize. So 22D is for the veteran for the full 100%, and the 22E is for the surviving spouse.
So, as a matter of information, not for us, but more for the viewing public, in the attempt to make sure that people know exactly what these exemptions are, what is available to them.
Okay.
If you could break down the
Absolutely.
the
So
categories
for
for us.
Clause 22, that's for veterans rated between 10% and 90%. They would get $400 off their property taxes, $200 on each bill. 22F is for, let me get back to that, excuse me. 22A is for paraplegics, and they get the $1,500, and that's 100% returned. We have the 22C, which is total and permanent, and rather we have two of those, not one.
Okay.
22D is for a veteran that is 100% service-connected, and the 22E is for the surviving spouse.
Great, thank you.
Great, thanks.
And,
All right, so what we're looking for is a motion to accept the adjusted exempt. Okay. Yeah, go ahead.
Also, within here,
Go ahead, sorry. Yeah.
Just introduce yourself, please.
hi, Brian Constant. I'm 100% total permanent housebound vet from the Marine Corps. You're voting on the HEROES Act. There's two parts to the HEROES Act, exactly what he said. And then the second part also is to not have us go up on our property taxes with inflation. That's the other part that was brought up into the HEROES Act. And will you guys be discussing that as well? Sorry, I have a brain injury, so I stutter.
No problem.
And I'm deaf, so I apologize. Will you guys be discussing that, because it's a two-part with the HEROES Act? So what the VSO officer did say is absolutely correct, and it isn't a big, and I didn't even know this, so he did his due diligence on this, that the 100%ers that you guys are paying the most for the 1,000 and the 1,500. Bob here, he's 100% Vietnam vet. He's 100%. I'm 100% total permanent housebound with ADA services because I was crippled for 3 years, and with my brain injury, I fall a lot. Supposed to have my cane right now, but anyway, there's not many of us, and according to him, that you guys get that all refunded. So you guys are only going to be paying for the 10 to 90%ers. You know what I mean? Which is the less than, which is 400, which will get doubled to 800. The rest of them are all going to be totally of what he said you're going to recoup anyway. But I also want to bring up the point of us, basically what that's going to do is freeze our taxes at this point. So as we get older and the expenses get higher, my income, I'm a fixed income at this point, and so is Bob. We're at fixed incomes. As you guys raise the taxes and say you guys just normally do the taxes, you know what I mean, 2%, or if you guys do an override, it would not affect us. How I understand the bill, because I talked to my congressman, Mr. Mark Keating. Yeah, thank you. Brain injury.
That's all right.
He explained it to me as you guys, basically, let's say you guys locked us in and you guys doubled it. So our taxes would be $3,000, but then our taxes wouldn't go up from that point forward. So like my taxes would stay at $1,500 for the rest of my life, which is probably not going to be that long, but you know what I mean? Hopefully it is. But what I'm saying is as we get older and we carry more expenses, because eggs are $5, $4. I went to Market Basket, it was $4.50 for eggs. You know what I mean? Just like
fully understand that.
That does help us, so I hope we discuss that too tonight. Oh, I'm so sorry. So I hope we discuss both parts of the HEROES Act.
Right.
So I'll turn it back to the VSO office.
So what part, Matt, what part is that act? Is that 22J?
No, that's something we'll have to get online with afterwards. This is, well,
It's here at
the
all.
main focus of this was for the abatements for the property taxes. I guess we'll have to have another session for the
Right.
property
Well,
taxes.
I think what's important is whether or not, I mean, the board would need to make a motion to begin the construction of an article for town meeting, because it all has to be town meeting approved.
I mean, I would recommend that you move forward with it, but again, that's just my position.
All right, so what I would be looking for is to have a motion to authorize our co-town administrators and to sit down with the Veteran Service Officer to formulate articles for town meeting to do the adjusted exemption clause 22I and 22J, and whether that becomes 2 articles, but also to have a third to look into the I guess we call it the property tax freeze. For all intents, let's just call it that way. I'm sure there's some bureaucratic language.
I'm sure
for
there
that.
is something, there's the big push is on this, because that's a lesser spoke of.
Right, so we can take a look at that and see
Absolutely.
what, to work on that, and then get it to us for.
That wouldn't affect too many people, that
Right.
freeze, so.
Motion made, Mr. Chairman, to get
Thank
this
you.
on the agenda.
All right, so motion made by Mr. O'Neill, seconded by Mr. Mickelson. All right, on the motion, any questions? All those in favor? Opposed? None, unanimous.
Mr.
All right.
Chairman?
Yes,
Can we take a moment to stand and honor these fellows for their service?
sure, then why not?
Thank you.
Thank you, gentlemen.
Thank you.
Well said.
Take care of yourself.
Thank you. Last name Santos?
We sure is.
Yeah, we know that. That's, we know that, sure, and there's one right there, too.
Had hair, too, that's him.
Thank you, Matt.
Thank you, Matt.
Thanks for coming, guys.
Few more things. Oh, no, don't worry about it.
Nope. Got it all.
Thank you very much.
So, Matt, you're still up.
Yes, I am.
Memorial Day Parade update.
Yeah, so, every year, the board and I and, EMA and the police, we all get together and find out what we can do better on the parade. So it's finally, we voted on it with the board, and I've kind of gone over it with some other folks in the community, and we are going to eliminate the police station stop and incorporate that into the cemetery. Typically, we are rushed at the cemetery, like DCTV has their van parked right in the middle. They're the first ones out because they have to be down at the World War I monument. A lot of redundancy in it. We're just we're naming the names again. We can make make it a little bit more elaborate. There's a lot more room than you think. It's once you move that van, I went up there and checked it out. If the van's not there and it's parked in the back, there's a big area where we can have formations. And again, at the end, we would set it up, where the main folks would just head into the old police station, and the police would just left, right, all the walkers would head up towards the DYAA, and all the cars would head to the left. It's a lot easier logistically.
Sounds
And
good.
it wouldn't take away from the parade.
Good idea.
Sounds good.
All right, good
I
stuff.
know you got the parade master sitting there,
Yeah,
so. I'm
Well,
sure
I went
he's-
over with him first to make sure it was good. I appreciate that. And finally, I don't know if you saw it on the way up, but we are redesigning the POW MIA display. So originally I was coming to let you know about it, but the Parks Department got on top of it a lot quicker than I thought they would. So I went out and bought all the supplies, and Harvey and Amir put together a great display down there. I wanted you to see it first, and now I'm going to cover it with a black sheet. I've reached out to some other folks in the community, get their input on it, to find out, what it really means to them. And instead of just, the chair and the flags were nice. That'll be set up down at the COA now. I just think with something a little classier here at Town Hall.
Nice. Great
So,
job.
And the
Great job.
advisory board is behind all this, so.
Excellent. Oh, thank you. Thank you for that. Thank you for the parade information. I think that's
problem.
important.
Will we have an unveiling ceremony when you do?
Again, that's in the works. It was done before. This isn't going to be for the public. This isn't like a fanfare thing. This is for, this is a do-over. So, yeah.
Great.
What's the date of the parade?
26th, I believe. May 26th.
Okay, and I have a second question. I know that I heard a few comments and concerns about if and what may ever happen to the old police station as to what's going to happen to that.
We've already talked about it for my board.
So my question, the first part of my question is, are there people who are going to be disappointed that we're not having something down there? And is that,
okay.
I'm sure you've considered
Well,
it.
in years past, we have a DJ. Why? No one's there to listen to the music. He's there to basically hold my flags up. Now I have sandbags, so I don't need a DJ. So we won't set up down there. We'll just set everything up down at the cemetery.
Okay.
And as far as World War I monument,
Yeah.
we've already brought that up where if we have to, we'll take the plaque off, put it on plaque, we either move it to the COA or move it to the cemetery. Way ahead of you.
Hope it doesn't come to that.
Okay,
Anything else?
all right, that's it. Thank
Thanks,
you, Matt.
Matt.
Appreciate
Great
it.
job.
Thank you, Ed.
Thank you.
Good job, Matt.
Thank you, gentlemen. Appreciate it.
Can I just say one more thing, sir?
Sure thing.
Just about the second part of the HEROES Act, about the freezing. The biggest concern that I've had with me and other veterans is with the T coming to Fall River and coming into New Bedford. There's gonna be people that are gonna move into the suburbs, you know what I mean, that are gonna commute. They're not gonna wanna live in Fall River or live in New Bedford. We're right in between both of them. So the biggest thing is that I've heard from most of like people that have, when they have a T come in, we get priced out because of our taxes. So being with the HEROES Act, and that was some of what I understand from the congressman, that their thoughts were, it kind of protects us from not getting removed from our community and our homes. So let's say it doesn't happen right now in 5 years, or like say it happens in 10, 15 years, like all of a sudden my house goes from $500,000 to 1.5 million, and you guys wanting to tax me, you know what I mean, $10,000 to $12,000 a year that I'm paying almost $1,200 a month. So if you guys freeze those taxes, you know what I mean, which is part of the HEROES Act, is to keep the veterans in the homes that they bought, you know what I mean, and been living in, that I don't have to worry about some Boston person that lives up north coming up and just buying up houses for God knows, they're paying $3 million for a condo, you know what I mean, literally a condo up in Boston area, $1 million. They come down here, they don't give a damn about paying $1 million for a house, or 1.5, when they can take the train in for an hour, it costs them $12.
Right.
You know what I mean? But all of a sudden, my taxes went from $4,500, which is very reasonable in Dartmouth. I will say that. Thank you. But I don't want to see my taxes go to $12,000 to $15,000 because some of them up north are extremely high. Sorry.
No problem.
Sometimes. So I just wanted to, I was supposed to say that thing, but didn't bring it up.
Don't worry.
We
Don't
got
worry.
it. I mean, we'll have the language reviewed, looked at, and so that it can be acted upon in June.
And thank you guys for taking that because that is serious. So, us twice.
No,
Sir.
thank you.
No problem.
Just
Thank you
as
for bringing it
serious
to
as
our
you are.
attention.
Yes.
Okay. All right, next item on the agenda, we have the Bliss Corner EPA renewal request for stockpiling location.
Yes, Mr. Chairman, so as you know, at our former police station site, which we were just discussing, EPA is using that as a staging area for the activities that they're doing down at Bliss Corner. They entered an agreement with the town 2 years ago at this point, 2023, for a 2-year agreement of that site. That agreement is expiring, and they've made a request of us to re-up that for another 2 years. So before you tonight, you have the agreement. It's relatively short. And, you know, should the board agree, the recommendation would be to make a motion to authorize either Gary or myself to sign on behalf of the town.
Board?
So moved.
Okay, motion made by Mr. Mickelson. Is there a second?
Oh, Kristen Brook-Powell.
Is there a second to that motion?
Oh, sorry, second.
Thank you. Seconded by Mrs. Brooks on the motion. Any questions? All those in favor say aye.
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 Opposed? None. Unanimous. Okay. All right, thank you.
Thank you.
Welcome.
Thank you very much.
All right, next item on the agenda, we have the Police Brotherhood Union MOA. And we have our chief.
evening. I've submitted a draft MOA requesting that we be allowed to adjust the salaries and vacation time of officers hired with experience. Current language allows us to make that adjustment for lateral transfers, but it's limited to laterals only. This language would expand that ability to new hires that come with experience and also allow us to attract and retain officers that have prior police experience, and this would, as noted in the MOA, apply to one current officer.
All right. Board members have any questions of the chief?
No, I just want to point out that this is something that the Brotherhood is aware of and in agreement with, and that the language included has been vetted through council. So I think what we're seeing before us would be helpful to our department. So I make a motion that we accept.
Second.
Motion made by Mrs. Brooks, seconded by Mr. Mickelson. On the motion, any questions? All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? None. Unanimous. All right. Thank you, chief.
Thanks, Brian.
All right, next we have the, all right, let me just get to the page. We have an agreement, well, actually, we have a integrated CBA with the, between the town of Dartmouth and the Dartmouth Town Employees Association. Mr. Chris? Sorry.
No problem. So as you said, this is an integrated agreement with our DTEA union. This is for our July 1, 2022 through June 30, 2025 contract. This has been reviewed by council and has been signed off by the union. This incorporates MOAs that have been made over the last several years into one comprehensive agreement. And we are just looking for approval from the board to sign.
Okay. So in other words, this is not a new contract. This is taking what we have done over the last several years, and especially with MOUs, which did any kind of position changes or position grade upgrades, and combining it into the complete agreement, correct?
That is correct.
All right. Board's pleasure. Comments from the members?
No, I just want to say that I'm happy to see everything incorporated into one clean document.
Okay.
So motion to approve the DTEA integrated CBA.
All right, and the motion would be to have that co-town administrators sign the integrated agreement.
So moved.
Motion made by Mr. Mickelson, seconded by
Mrs. Brooks.
Mrs. Brooks. On the motion, any questions? All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? None. Unanimous. All right, town administrator, the one-year performance review provision reconsideration. I don't see that in our
It's
packet.
within the minutes.
All right, so it's in the minutes.
You can see it in what was stated from the December
Right.
16th, and that's the piece that we need to,
Right, so the motion
be on
was...
page 118 in our packet.
Right, so the motion was made by David Tattlebaum, seconded by Christopher Neal. It was voted to unanimously offer a 3-year contract to the chosen candidate with a 1-year performance review provision with language prepared by town council, which would enable the town to rescind the contract after 1 year if the performance metrics are not met. So that was the roll call vote. Everybody voted in favor, so we would need a motion to rescind that vote. Yeah, basically to rescind that vote.
Motion to rescind the offer.
No, rescind that
Rescind the
vote.
Okay. Motion to rescind the vote.
All right, is there a second?
Second.
All right, on the motion, is there any questions? All those in favor say aye.
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 Opposed? None, unanimous. All right, next item is the town administrator hiring status and contract. I would like to inform the community that the candidate we have chosen, that the board chosen 4-1 to become the town administrator has rejected the contract offer. And so I think what we would need at this point in time would be a motion to rescind the offer for town administrator to Bridget Ullman.
Motion to rescind the offer.
Is there a second?
Second.
On the motion, any questions? All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Unanimous. Interim Town Administrator update.
Chairman, so the town's 2024 fuel assistance program has concluded for this year. In total, we issued 56 awards totaling just over $17,000. The program was supported by the Mass AG's Residential Energy Assistance Grant Program, or REAGE for short. Just want to thank the staff in our office for helping get these applications processed and payments out the door. So we're all done for this year, but we are excited to say we have money to do this again this upcoming fall. So keep a lookout late September, early October for that. With regards to our budgets, we are in budget season. Departmental budgets have been submitted to Gary. He worked very diligently to get those submitted, and they are currently under review. And workshops are going to be planned in the coming weeks for some of those larger budgets. So more on that to come. Last thing, just of note, is town offices are closed next Monday, 17th, for President's Day. We'll be back open on the 18th for normal business hours, and that is it.
Okay. All right. Old business, do we have anything? Well, we talked about Bliss Corner, so we're all set with that. Lake Nokichoke?
No new updates.
Municipal broadband?
No new updates.
And Mass DEP Title V?
No new updates.
All right, we have no minutes. Select Board updates. Anybody have anything? Mr. Tattlebaum, you have anything?
I'm good.
Mr. Mickelson?
No, I do not.
Mr. O'Neill?
Yes. So I've got, let's open this up. First of all, on the town administrator, I just wanted to state that with regard to the letter of regret from Bridget Allman, I'd simply like to make known my opinion as to the recent process used to create, negotiate, and forward a contract for the candidate for town administrator. I feel that the time needed to make changes to a prior contract for this position by town council and create edits to the same was woefully disappointing. That lag in time produced an air between the town and the candidate, which could be construed as a negative atmosphere surrounding the process. I could see where the chosen candidate for the top job in our town could derive the opinion that the delivery time frame and the contents of the pre-negotiated draft would be an indication of negativity toward the candidate. In the future, Mr. Chairman, I would suggest that the town use Labor Council under contract with the town to review, draft, and install all contracts used for the hiring of contracted labor going forward. We must have cleaner, less contentious, and more partner-perceived agreements with the individuals we ask to do the most difficult jobs in the town. I also understand that the response to certain clauses in contracts will be that it's all done to protect the town, but we must find a way to bring the best talent forward with contracts that make sense for both parties and get out of the way so professionals can do the work the town requires. The town's lost the opportunity to work with a qualified, knowledgeable individual. I can only hope that when we go out to market again, that we can quickly and fairly negotiate with the best candidates who will work with the department heads to bring common goals for the benefit of the taxpayer and the fee payer. Time will tell. That said, I also have a request for updates to a couple of things. I noticed, Chris, the fine mass money, if you go into the website for the state and you type in town of Dartmouth, or even, I think maybe in town school department, there are return checks that the state has taken back from different parties that are due to the town. So maybe, Gary, if you could follow up on findmassmoney.com. I think you'll find some returns that are due the town that were returned to the senders for whatever reason. If we can follow up on those and make sure that we're getting those back.
Mr. Chairman, through you, is this the is that the list that the state puts out every year?
Yes.
Yes, yep, yep. I always check mine every year. I don't know if I'm being stingy or not, but I usually find at least one a year.
You're not, because I did it several years ago, and
Yeah.
when Mr. Barnes was the finance director, we found there was money that the town recouped. It wasn't much.
Yeah, Yeah,
I
a
mean,
lot of them aren't.
I think it was like maybe a couple of grand, but it wasn't much in the comparison of things.
I got
And it was over
$11
like
back.
4 or 5 checks.
Yeah.
So, but, I mean, yeah, that's something that should always be checked anyway,
Yeah.
which I don't quite understand why the secretary, why the treasurer doesn't notify municipalities that, but
Right.
it is what it is.
And just a request for an update for the, I think it's 491 Fons Corner Road license for signage in the public way. I think we had sent that over to legal. I don't know if we've got a response from Brian on that particular application yet or not. I think Gary had sent something back on that. That was the business signage in the right-of-way up in
We
Fons
did
Corner.
get some clarification from town council, and we can share that with you. I think I may share it.
All right.
Share.
Okay. I just didn't know if we got anything back from legal on that yet. The other things I think I'll hold off on. In the municipal carry exemption, I know I sent that in to the administration for consideration for the next town meeting. I know that the town of Rochester has successfully exempted their town buildings from the license to carry restriction that the Healy administration had passed in the last gun law update. I had forwarded a request to have that presented to the town. It does still exempt school buildings for license to carry users in the town of Dartmouth, but I think the other, I've received a few calls on this from interested parties asking that the license to carry exemption for town buildings be put in place, excluding the schools.
Were these from employees?
That's a good question. No.
What are you trying to do with?
So essentially, Dave, what it is that the Healy administration had passed a new gun law back in 2024, I believe, and making it illegal to carry license to carry permit holders to carry inside of all municipal buildings. So the stance that's being made by some of the towns is to exempt the town buildings, because when you're out and about and you're doing your daily job and you're running for a permit, you've got to deal with whether you're legally carrying or not. By walking into the building, then you would be breaking the law. So what towns are doing is that they're exempting certain town buildings, not the schools. Schools are still, well, in the case of Rochester, they are still excluded. So you still would not be able to carry as a licensed permit owner in the school department, but the other town buildings you would.
So they're now allowed to carry firearms in the town hall?
In the town hall, yes.
In Rochester? No, in Rochester.
In Rochester, yeah.
And you're in favor of allowing firearms to be carried in the town hall?
Yes, yeah.
That has to go before every town meetings.
Yeah, it would have to go before the town meeting,
Right.
yeah.
I'm sure there'll be some interesting discussion on that.
And that's it for me, Mr. Chairman.
Okay.
Thank you.
All right. Just as a quick comment on your contract thing, it has been in the past that town council does the contracts through non-union personnel or singular contracts, and any union would be for labor council. So what you're saying now is labor council should be doing all employment contracts through the town, correct?
That would be my recommendation, that an attorney that is a little closer to the labor issues that we have, especially when you get into the Mass Wage Act. There are a lot of nuances to that law that if tripped up, can be very expensive for the employer. So I think we would probably be better served by having labor council, and they would also have possibly more knowledge about the interactions with the different unions and how changes in labor law affect those along with the contracted, non-union.
I'm sure that can be, I'm sure we can discuss something.
I just
to
have
that.
one comment on that.
Go ahead,
I think
Mr.
that-
Tattelbaum.
Thank you. I think present council has had a impeccable track record with that, and any issues we're talking about now were ones that he was not involved in. I think it's worth a discussion for sure, but I think that these issues came up as a result of exceptions as opposed to what his historical performance, so that I think it's worth a discussion for sure, but you need to go a long way to, to understand what the history is and what he's done. And I'd be happy to, my point of view, I'd be happy to talk about it.
And one of the issues with the proposed contract was that, we went back to town council to devise the contract because previous town administrator did not use town council for these, for these types of contracts, and he did it upon himself. So we went back to having council review the contract. So, all right, with that, is there anything else? Mrs. Brooks, you have anything?
I have a few things.
Okay.
So one, I want to make everyone aware about the pit count. So the pit count is the point in time. The date of the pit count is actually a federal date set to look at the unhoused population in every municipality. They do pick a date, so our date was January, and they do pick a date when it's cold weather to allow for any possible person who is unhoused to be sheltered at that time. So the pit count that we had this year was 27 individuals throughout the town of Dartmouth. Now, in 2022, we had 7. Now, that being said, over the past few months, our Dartmouth Community Outreach Team has gone out and looked for individuals and has provided them with information about shelters and housing, the paperwork to sign off on. There's some things that they have to do. So they've made contact with these 27 individuals and others. The others have taken that information and have become housed somewhere. But these 27, for reasons known to themselves, shelters have been offered, but for personal reasons, they're not accepting a shelter. It may be abusive situations, the drugs and alcohol that they feel may be available to them in those areas. They may have an animal which would not be taken in. There may be multiple members of the family that they fear that they would be separated. There could be a history of trauma, and I mean, there's any number of things. What I will tell you is the individuals involved in the pit count and the individuals that serve on the Dartmouth Community Outreach Team have nothing but compassion for these individuals. The numbers that we have, though, although concerning at 27, also do not count the people who may be in mobile RV units, which may be parked on property and may not look to be someone that's unhoused. The concern with some of these mobile RV units is that they are parked illegally. They are not hooked up to sewer, and so the sewer that is spilling out onto the land, whole nother issue. This doesn't count the students who are couch surfing because perhaps their parents are homeless or they've had some other issue with family members, and so they are couch surfing. That's not counted. We have people that are living in homes in Dartmouth that are condemned or in poor condition, concerning. And right now, the larger concern, while compassion is there, is we have a number of individuals who are unhoused on town property. Now, that becomes a problem if they are having any negative impact on that environment. If they're using something to warm themselves, which may not be compliant with fire codes and may have either injured themselves or the structure that they have made. In talking to several departments that have had to deal with unhoused people on properties that they have, the issue becomes that we don't have one set policy or bylaw in the town for folks on town property. For example, when this has come up in the library incorporated it through the Board of Trustees within their patron behavior policy, which states that library parking lots are for library parking only, no overnight parking. Violators will be towed at the owner's expense, because the libraries have had an issue. The Parks and Rec Department, so you're talking about the beaches, when notified that there are overnight either vehicles or tent spaces, they've gone and they have a notice not to trespass order, which has been authorized by their particular board, which they hand out. The school department has gone in when it has been located on their property and has asked the individual to leave and may either remove the encampment or assisted the person in moving their encampment. There isn't one set procedure, policy, bylaw to do this, and I feel that it would help the town if there was. We're not trying to, in essence, evict these people out of any malice, but in some ways, perhaps if they know that within 24 hours we'll be back and we will be now, there has been no reports of criminal behavior involved with the people that are here. Animal control sometimes is also involved because they have animals. Everyone they counted are currently Dartmouth residents. However, in talking to them during the pit count, they've also found out that the majority of them have been Dartmouth residents. Perhaps they haven't gotten along with family, and so they've been asked to leave, and they feel it's safer for them to be out of the house that they were in or some living situation. They may have family that still currently resides in Dartmouth. They lived or grew up here. Outreach Services, which is part of Matt Dansereau's job. Initially, when he was hired, it was really outreach services for the aging population, and that's why he was housed at the Council on Aging. But I have his stat sheet on the numbers of people that he has seen over the course of 2024, and unduplicated clients below age 65, 190. Unduplicated client interactions, 599 within 1 year. His oldest client is 101 years old. His youngest client, 21. A lot of it is helping people to get health insurance, fuel assistance, helping to get housing, and they have been able to get folks housed. Now, that being said, we have in Dartmouth 2 identified state cold weather overflow shelters, and that's Dartmouth Motor Inn and Capri. Between the two, we have 30 rooms available. How you are placed there is you have to be at Sister Rose in New Bedford. They're back at Sister Rose, and in essence, on the street. If you get a room for that night, and that's when we are under 30 degrees, that's when these 2 shelters are open. If it's 31 degrees, there are no shelters available. If you are there for one night, so you've got there maybe around 1 o'clock in the afternoon, you have your hotel room until 6 a.m. At 6 a.m., that bus is out front to pick you up and take you back to Sister Rose to be determined if tonight will be below 30 degrees. And if not, you're back on the street. Dartmouth works with some nonprofit groups, Stepping Stone out of Fall River and Sister Rose in Greater New Bedford, to assist with the placement of people. There is not enough housing And for a variety of reasons, the 27 individuals that they counted at the PID count were not willing to go into a shelter. That being said, right now, there are no shelter spaces. Also, just to be aware that the Section 8 housing costs has risen. The voucher is for $300, and the Section 8 housing which has been announced, which in the past was $300 a month, has gone up to $600. So that means that people who are in housing now with a Section 8 voucher may not be able to pay that additional $300, which will be a problem for our numbers. Relative to other communities, I don't know if Dartmouth does a better job than other communities on that pit count, but New Bedford had a pit count of 35, and we had a pit count of 28. So we do have a problem, but we do need some policy, bylaw. We need something in the town that would assist all departments uniformly for when somebody is, let's say, camped out on town property, what we can do to move them along. And it is concerning, both as a property owner, us being the town, what are we liable for? And in talking to town council, we should not be assisting them with staying where they are. We should be assisting them with finding another place to go. So I would like us to look into whether it's a policy or a bylaw, and I think that needs to go to town council to recommend to us so that we can move on this, which would include creating something, whether it's signage for our properties, and a uniform statement, whether it's a notice to trespass statement, and how it's going to be dealt with uniformly across the town.
Well, I think coming up with a one-fits-all type of thing can start, we can give it to town council to start looking into, but he can also take what the library has and what the park department has and incorporate that into something, so, and then have, come up with something overall. But I would also need town council to talk to the other department heads involved, Matt and Board of Health especially, fire departments, the animal control officer, the ACO, and whatnot, to see, to incorporate into what their concerns are and whatnot, so that we have at least something. I mean, it kind of stinks that we would have to do something like this, because, it becomes almost an uncompassionate turn of events, but it's a safety issue, it's a sanitary issue, because there are no portable bathrooms in there, so
Right.
they're doing something, and where is that waste going?
It is a sanitary issue.
So that needs to be, addressed, and if it does give these individuals a little bit more to pause, to think about going into, some type of a shelter situation, then, fine. One of the things, though, that I'm a little confused about is the voucher. I don't recall having a Section 8 voucher where you have to pay for it. Generally, the Section 8 voucher has the ability to pay a certain amount of money towards the landlord costs, but there's also a cap that's also, if the landlord takes the voucher, then the landlord has to have a cap on it. So whatever, and generally those are the FMRs, or the fair market rents of the area, depending upon the location. But in this area, it's there's the New Bedford area, but the New Bedford area falls under the Providence, under the housing and urban development regulations. So I'm not sure exactly.
Dartmouth space, so who could I contact? Should I contact the landlord of that space to see what they're offering for a voucher?
Well, I'm not sure. See, the thing is that the vouchers are generally handed by mass housing, or any kind of.
The landlord has gone up on their rent.
If the landlord has gone up on their rent, then what they need to get, if somebody has a voucher, that also has to be, the landlord has to get that approval by the voucher issuer, not the voucher holder. So it depends upon who issued the voucher as to whether or not, if it was mass housing, if it was South Shore Housing Corporation, or I don't think there's any others, but it's generally those two in this area who would know. But they need to be the ones to approve the gross total rent, which is, you know, the amount that the landlord wants for the unit, and then it's based upon the person's income. That's the voucher. It's 30% of their adjusted gross income, and then the balance gets paid by. So if the landlord says it's going to be $1,000 for a two-bedroom, somebody has their adjusted gross income gives them $200, then the voucher pays $800 on the approved rent. If the landlord says, hey, I want $1,500, then the landlord cannot legally go to the voucher holder and say, you have to pay the difference. They have to go to the agency who issued the voucher, who approved the voucher, and say, look, I need another $500. This is the reason why. The issuers can say whether or not yes or no, or they can negotiate the difference, because they're the ones who are going to end up paying the difference and not the voucher holder. The voucher holder's portion of the rent is always tied to their income, their 30% of their adjusted gross income.
So Sean, does the voucher follow go with the person, or does it stay with the unit?
It goes with the person.
Okay.
So that person can move on, but the landlord has to accept. When you accept a voucher, you're accepting also the conditions that the voucher issuer has, which is health and safety code. They have to come in, inspect the unit, inspect the building, make sure that there's no lead, that it's habitable, and there's no safety and violation issues.
Also have to adhere to the financial aspect of that particular voucher?
Well, the thing is that, the voucher holder, their portion of the rent is only tied to their income.
Right.
And there's several factors involved with that. So with a family of three, a single mother, 2 kids, the voucher holder, it would be whatever their income is, and say if it's public assistance, and then they get X number of dollars off per child. So their gross income now becomes an adjusted income based upon whatever deductions that they have. If there's something with medical, that also plays a part in that.
Every individual may be different. This is your wheelhouse.
This is my business.
So I'm going to do a little bit more digging on that information
but the
that was
thing
given
is
to me.
that the landlord needs, if the landlord has accepted the conditions of the voucher, then he cannot arbitrarily go up on the rent without permission of the people. They would have to get the permission of the issuers.
Okay,
So-
I'm going to do a little bit
And
more
that difference
digging
in the
on that.
money would have to come from the issuing company of the voucher, and not the person who holds the voucher.
Okay,
Wouldn't they be able to go to housing court also as another option?
Now, housing court doesn't handle that. That's only when it comes to, unfortunately, that comes under the violations, health and safety violations, or,
Not paying.
or evictions. So, but, I mean, the landlord can say, okay, you have a lease, but I'm no longer taking the voucher, then that person has to, you know.
Correct. All right,
so-
okay.
Dave?
Ms. Brooks, thanks for the
Yes.
work you're doing on this. Is there possibly a town in the Commonwealth that has an established rule and signage that we could maybe model on?
Yes.
And how could we find that out?
I did a Google search.
So rather than
and found a
reinvent
few.
the wheel, there may be a town that really
Yeah.
can, it's
They're
already
doing that in
established.
Rhode Island, is a
Yes,
lot of
some
that
of the
going on.
things that when we looked at it, some of the things, and the chief was one of the folks that sat with us. One of the things which is in the violation, sometimes it's like, it'll say $100 per day. Well, we're talking about unhoused individuals. They're not going to be paying $100 a day. And so to include something like that, like, is that, that's just kind of silly.
Makes sense, no
And we
sense.
really want to get them housed, and the problem within Dartmouth is Moby Dick and Capri Motel. Sorry, did I say those two correctly? I don't want to misspeak on the hotel because that was a big issue.
Capri, wasn't it?
Capri, I know.
Dartmouth Motor Inn.
Dartmouth Motor Inn and Capri. That's all we have. And between the two, it's only 30 rooms, and it's not anything to do with Dartmouth. It's run through Sister Rose and Stepping Stone, and I told you the process, how that goes. And because it's a cold weather overflow shelter, it's 30 degrees and below.
Moving target all the time.
Right. So, you know, once it's over 30, they're not even opening. Yeah.
An addendum to that is I attended the New Bedford Redevelopment Council a consortium on housing. And the city of New Bedford, of course, is asking surrounding towns to take more responsibility in providing more housing, et cetera. And I have been working with Tony Sapienza, who is actually trying to spearhead this kind of development, would be with cooperation with towns. And it's a tough call, but maybe something can come out of that as well. Doing a great job on this. Thank you.
Thanks. Sorry, I have two more. One is the HR interim. We
Yes.
talked about that 2 weeks ago. I didn't know if you had any more information.
Yes, so I forwarded the contracts over to town council, and he is reviewing them. He should be done them anytime. I talked to him earlier today.
And so we have someone of interest?
We do, so what I want to get back word from town council before I come back to the board with
Oh, okay.
the next steps on that.
Okay, and also, just so that everyone's aware, we have been getting some applications for the HR director. And so we need to discuss, what are we going to do? How are we going to proceed with that?
Yeah, so as of now, our plan was, it was posted externally. We were going to keep it open for 30 days.
Okay.
And then we do have the standing screening committee. So I believe that was just posted here at the beginning of the month. So we will plan to schedule a meeting towards the end of the month or first thing next month to review the applications that came in and go from there.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
And my last thing is, I too had attended the MMA conference, and one of the workshops that I went to was what is driving up the school costs. And it was enlightening for me as someone who feels that they understand a school budget. And one of the things that, there were 3 different municipalities presenting, and one was Mansfield. And they talked about an initiative that they started almost 10 years ago, which was One Town, One Budget. And they were having meetings monthly with 2 members of the select board, 2 members of the FinCom, 2 members of the school committee, and they would go over all the budgets so that school committee would see what everybody else is asking for, and school, select board would see what everybody needs. And then quarterly, they would bring together all 3 of those full committees to have a discussion, so that when they went to their town meeting, they were actually presenting as a uniform board. And given where we are in budgeting and given what it looks like over the next couple of years, I think that we probably need to talk about putting something like that together so that everyone is talking about the one pot of money that we have.
You know, the long-range planning, capital plan we're working on now is important, but how we fund our schools and how much money we raise is attached to that directly. And I think that that whole package of looking at capital as well as what do we want from our schools and what's the long-range plan of what kind of schools we want to have, they're tied directly together, and I see that evolving over time to become an important component as to how much we take in and how much we want to spend and where the schools stand on that.
Well, unfortunately, part of with the budget process is if you add here, you're taking away from there, you know, and that's, the question is,
Finite pie.
is what kind of community do you want to live in? Do you want to have a community that is school-oriented and that nobody's picking up your trash? Or do you want somebody that's picking up your trash and school's just getting by? So there's a discussion here where, you know, if you plus on one side, you have to minus on another side.
I say it differently. I said, what's the size of the pie?
Right.
What is the size of the pie?
That's a different, that's a
That's what
separate
long-range
argument.
planning is.
I
What
will
kind of
say-
schools do you
I
want?
will
Do
say,
you want to increase the pie?
right, and I
That's
will
the
say,
thing.
in talking to the group from Mansfield, they felt it was very important because we really do operate in silos, especially during budget season. What do we, in my department, what do we need to do what we need to do for the next year? And they really talked about how important it was for, in these meetings, for the finance director and FinCom members to talk about the budgets that school department rarely thinks about, DPW, library, all of the other budgets, police, all of those, and hear about what they're proposing, what impacts, what do they need. And right now, I'm still so worried about the DPW and Flushing that I think the more people that hear what every department needs, not wants, not pie in the sky, but needs to get by, and what kind of services. And as Sean said, is we as a community need to really say, what kind of community do we want to live in? And if I want to flush with wild abandonment, what does the DPW need so that I never have to worry about that? So I just want to say that we've talked several times about liaisoning to different groups, and then it goes away, but I really think this is a group that I would like us to form. I'm not even saying consider forming, form, so that we can get more information to more of the boards in a timely manner.
Mr. Chairman, through the course of, I believe not last year's budget, but the budget prior to that, we talked about maybe morphing the long-term capital into something as like a budget advisory group. Some communities call it, it's a BAG, which includes, just as Heidi is speaking about, school department, a member of the select board, it could be a school committee member, finance committee, so on and so forth, that discuss budget so that when it comes time to talk about the budget and iron out the budget that eventually goes to town meeting, that discussion can be had, and there can be an appreciation that the schools can appreciate the DPW, the DPW can appreciate Council on Aging, and those folks sit in one room and pretty much not develop the budget, but throw ideas around. And as the budgets get tighter, there has to be, I think, that give and take between the departments. And I think sometimes when we go through that budget process, we kind of miss that. We do have the liaisons between Finance Committee and their respective departments, and we do have that one meeting a year that we talk and we sit down. But this is on the onset, like this would be happen well in advance of that. Some communities do it, budget advisory group. So maybe something to consider.
Well, I mean, the bigger discussion basically is how are we going to fund all what we need to do to do what we want to do? And the problem is this, is that, you know, you listen to people and, you know, water rates are going up and, you know, groceries are going up, taxes are going up, but we still got one of the, you know, but then everybody says, well, you know, Dartmouth still has a low tax rate. Yeah, but, you know, it's still going up. And the question is do we have an appetite to increase the tax base to fund how we think things should be funded? And that, you know, and unfortunately, part of that process is that dirty word, override. You know, whether it's a structural, whether it's a debt, or, you know, and to be honest with you, to do the budget, it has to be a structural override, you know, and it has to be targeted as to where it
I
is.
think that our goal in long-range planning is to present something that town meeting that they've never seen before, which takes us out 20, 30, and 40 years, which includes the giant projects of the DPW and schools, et cetera. And I think that would be a perfect time to then let people know what it's going to cost, what we're going to do, and they can decide. They need information, and that's what this will do, and I think we can then morph it into a committee that now gets into the budgeting of, well, how is that pie going to, how big's the pie going to be, and how should it be divided up?
Right.
And as we do it as a group.
And the long-range planning gives us the projects that we need, but the day-to-day operation still needs to be addressed.
That's what I'm talking about.
Right.
So we morph it into something that's just exactly Heidi described, which is looking at it as a group as opposed to these individual considerations. And we have that in a long-range planning. I think we have the representation, and we have people are now opening up their eyes to what it costs to run different parts of the town. And we need to do it on a day-to-day operation as well. We need to decide mainly, as far as I'm concerned, what kind of schools we really want. That's where the money is.
Do we have a time where the long-range planning will be presenting a report to the board? Or, yeah?
Yep.
When do you anticipate that?
Well, we're planning something formal for a town meeting, but we plan to do something before then to present to this group.
Gotcha. Thank you.
That'll be interesting.
Anything else? Yeah. You had 3 when you said you added 2, so we have to take one away for you next meeting.
Nope, AHR, PIT, and MMA, those are my 3.
Okay, anything else?
Motion to adjourn.
Motion made by Mr. Mickelson, seconded by
Mrs. Brooks.
On the motion, any questions for adjournment? All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? None unanimous. Good night, everybody.
Good job.